They could have messed that up, by the way,
Yeah.
because everybody wanted them to take Ace Bailey, and
Bailey,
they took the guy that people didn't know as well. And so far, it is. He did not play great last night. I don't
that's
think
the thing. I think
involved enough last night.
Let's go to our main man, Mike Gill, set to join us here on Birds 365. You can follow him on X and all over social media at Mike Gill Show, and listen to him on 97.3 ESPN down the shore, 97.5 The Fanatic on the weekends. Mike, how you doing, brother?
I am worth a first-round pick.
There we go. Mike Gill stepping up with the Eagles.
So you're like the AJ Brown of the show right now. You have tremendous confidence in your worth.
Yeah.
Correct.
Got to get Mike more involved in everything. Did anybody do the Halloween? The big Halloween party was yesterday. Did anybody do the investigative work of looking at all the pictures to see who was there yet? Has anybody seen
it? Social media was doing it.
Were they doing it? Yeah.
I refused to come into the show today and say AJ Brown was not at the Halloween party. You
just said it. You just said it.
Yeah, right. I did, but
there we go. Mike Gill, would you go to the Halloween party?
I'm not a big Halloweener. This weekend, I thought it was weird. I hate when the holiday falls on a weekend and yet places do holiday parties the weekend before. Like Halloween is Friday night. You could have your Halloween party on Friday the day of Halloween.
Yeah. Why not?
Instead, a lot of places were having them last weekend. So we walk into a couple of places not in costume, and everyone's wearing costumes around us. It felt like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if there's why not have the party on Halloween? Yeah, I
get it. Like some people are taking their kids out trick-or-treating, I guess, but those trick-or-treating things are usually so early before the light goes away that the parents can still, I don't know, but
yeah,
a lot of
and I'm not. By the way, I'm not talking about the Eagles. I'm talking in general. The Eagles, they're going to go all over the country over the weekend.
That's different. If you're talking about a private Halloween party, I'm talking about when you go out to, like, I went to a brewery on Saturday. It was 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm sitting next to Peg Bundy.
Like, I'm with you. I'm not I'm with my boy Wayne here. I have been marked safe from all Halloween parties. Wayne, you and me both, my friend. I have been marked safe as well.
Yeah,
I'm a Halloweener.
I've done some Halloweeners. If I'm in, like, if I know and it's like something like we do together with my girlfriend, we've done some things, but like just showing up at a bar at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, the week before Halloween, no, that's not happening.
Yeah. I could see you being a Halloween guy, Mike. I could see that.
It varies. I'm not like anti. I'm not also like excited about it. Like, put it this way. If I'm doing a Halloween costume, I'm not painting my face. I'm not doing something where it takes me hours. I'm just getting some outfit that you can still see that I'm the person. I'm just wearing something that I normally wouldn't wear, like something to that effect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What's your policy on Halloween costumes when it comes to scary versus,
that would go down the road of
the Peg Bundies of the world.
That goes down the road of like having to actually take time and like paint your face or find some sort of distorting mask. I'm not wearing a mask all night. Like you're putting time into that. That's too much time for me. I just want to be like, hey, listen, like one year, I think a couple of years ago, I think I was the guy, the painter. The smiley trees.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah,
the happy tree with Bob Ross. I was Bob Ross. My girlfriend was the happy trees. It was easy. I put on a button-up shirt, a pair of jeans, and I had a big fro. Like,
that's interesting. There's some guy who looks like Nick Sirianni. I saw that he dressed up as Nick Sirianni. Looks like him.
And his wife was the Super Bowl trophy.
Was the Super Bowl trophy. Yeah,
I saw Jalen Hurts dressed up. I did see Jalen Hurts. I don't know who he was with, but I didn't know what the heck. I didn't know they had this party last night. This is all news to me.
Yeah, the big Halloween party was last night,
which makes sense. They got to do it, the week before for them because
everybody's leaving. Yeah, everybody's going on vacation. The players have the entire week off. The coaches will get the weekend. But anyway, all right, enough Halloween talk. You buying into your Sixers before I get into the Eagles?
I said before the season that they would be a top 4 seed. So
Are you going up from top 4 seed yet?
No. I look, they're coming from behind in a lot of these games against teams that are just okay. But keep in mind, they are missing. Watford played last night for the first time. I really liked that signing. I think he's exactly what this team has lacked: a 6'9", a facilitator. He can pass. He's a leader. He's an energy guy. He doesn't need to score all that much, but he can. He's a 10-point-a-game scorer, but I don't think he'll even score that here. They don't have George. I know everybody's down on George. If he can still play a little bit, he's an addition. I love Jared McCain. I'm very intrigued to see how they're going to play McCain, Grimes, Edgecombe, and Maxey all at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of guards.
And then there's Embiid.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of Bona. I love the pick of Bona when they drafted him.
They drafted him last year, right, Mike? He was a second round.
He was drafted in the second round, UCLA. Just an absolute energizer bunny. And they've lacked that rim protector, hopper guy who can, how many times you watch a playoff game, someone knifes down the lane and they alley-oop it, and it's just like the Sixers just don't have that athlete down on the block. Now they do. He's just so raw. But last year, Embiid not playing gave him a lot of game experience. So you can see he's a lot more refined. Last year, he was a foulaholic. He just fouled all the time. He's jumping up, but he's much more refined this year. I think that they're very deep, definitely deeper than any team that I can remember that they've had in the Embiid era.
And it's still the Embiid era. I mean, the minutes restriction hurts.
This is the Tyrese Maxey era now, John.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at what point do we admit what we all admit? They're better when he's not on the floor, Mike.
I do think, he scored 25 points last night. It's unbelievable. I mean, he like gets up out of bed and scores 25. Defensively is where he is really not the same player at this point. And you wonder, he's in this minute restriction, is he just trying to get his cardio together and get confidence in where he is in that knee? He doesn't seem to have a lot of ups right now. Is that not coming back? Is this who he is? And if that's the case, offensively, he's still a monster. I mean, he scores 25. If you double Maxey and he bounce passes it back to Embiid in that foul line area, he's going to hit that shot wide open all the time. He did have 5 assists last night. He had 8 assists in a game on Friday night 2 weeks ago in the exhibition game. So he's willing now to say, I don't need to score 35 points. I'll score 15, 18, 20. The question is, what will he bring on defense is the bigger thing, because they've now created an offense that is no longer centered around him, but he's a part of it. If he's okay with that, they're fine. But on defense, he has to contribute more than he is, because there's certainly a better defensive team with Bona on the floor and then the rebounding of Drummond. The problem with Embiid is he's a 7'2" guy who doesn't rebound all that well.
I know. And those young guards. They are fast guards, and Joel Embiid is the opposite.
You know what? I'm kind of back in, which is very rare for me, and partially it's about VJ. It's about because it's so rare. Maybe it's so rare when the Sixers make the right decision, and maybe
they could have messed that up, by the way, because everybody wanted them to take Ace Bailey, they took the guy that people didn't know as well. And so far, it is. He did not play great last night.
Well, that's the thing. I think
last night.
I think the first quarter in the 2 games, basically when Embiid has been good offensively, like he doesn't get involved early. Like that bothers me, because that's the guy I'm excited about.
Yeah, last night it was the first time that he was kind of like a backseat driver. However, I would say, you're not going to ask him to be the guy every night. You've got
but I want to see that development. I want to see him, because he's got a chance to be.
He had back-to-back. He had back-to-back 4-point
like
plays
40
at
minutes.
one point.
I think he was tired last night. No doubt about it.
What are you guys hiring for Sixers 365? I'm ready to go.
We were just talking about that, actually. Sixers 365. For a little breaking news here. CJ Gardner-Johnson just signed with the Bears. All right. Active roster, too.
Which means he'll be here on Black Friday.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yes,
how
sir.
about that?
If he lasts that long.
Yeah, if he lasts that long is right.
The
But yeah.
GJ 2025 World Tour continues.
Yeah.
Chicago. Somebody must
He
have got
must
hurt.
be a total Malkin. You would know better, John. For him not to be on any roster, you're telling me in the state of the NFL today that guy can't get on the field on some of these teams? That is mind blowing. I mean, you look at the safeties the Giants threw out there the other day. You're telling me like those two guys they are content with over bringing in a player of that magnitude who's won a Super Bowl, been to a Super Bowl, led the league in interceptions. He's not like, oh, why are you not, like Simmons is still in his 30s and no one signed him yet. Okay, I understand. This guy's not in his early 30s. He led the league in interceptions. He's been in the Super Bowl and won one. How does he not have a job?
Well, people talk in the league. They talk amongst themselves. I think his time in Houston hurt him more. I think the Philly stuff is like it sends up a red flag. You say, as you mentioned, Mike, they go to the Super Bowl. He leads the league in interceptions, and he missed 5 games, by the way, while leading the lead in interceptions. He's a big-time playmaker. They go to the Super Bowl. They play Kansas City. They outplay Kansas City. They lose a close game. He's haggling about money in the offseason. And Eagles say, all right, fine, we're going to go in a different direction. Doesn't work for the Eagles. They bring him back. They go to the Super Bowl again. He's a playmaker. They win the Super Bowl, and they say, yeah, we're going to cut you. That's a red flag.
What do you think? They knew what he was the first time, and yet they said, you know what, let's bring this guy back. Did they think they can like reel him in, or was
Well,
it
I
not
think
as
it's
bad
like,
the first time?
look what happened. Let's try this again. It's like if you have a explosive relationship with your spouse, you might get in a fight and try it again and say, it's going to be better this time. It's not better. And you decide to move in a different direction again. I think the Houston stuff hurt him more, actually, because the Houston stuff coming out of Houston was like, this guy's not, he's freelancing, he's going off script, he's doing things he's not supposed to do, and he's leaving his teammates in a lurch. That's the kind of stuff that'll get you a reputation in the NFL. And then Baltimore, he went to Baltimore and signed on the practice squad. Then they brought in the safety, and it was like, I thought you were going to bring me up. So that was kind of understandable. Now he's in Chicago. He's running out of chances, man. He's got a reputation. And fair or not, that's the reality of the situation. So he's got to be a model citizen, get on the field somewhere and prove he's a playmaker. That, ironically, is the easiest part, because I think if he gets on the field, he'll make plays.
Yeah.
But you got to do it the right way as well. I know Vic had some frustrations with him going off, doing some freelance and stuff. And same thing with JG. So that factors into it as well.
Yeah.
Good player, though. Good player.
Excellent player, and an energy guy, and a guy who, as you mentioned, is a playmaker. And it's not like the Eagles have had a albatross replacing him. I mean, but there's growing pains at times at that spot, but not a complete black hole where you're like, they need to go back down that road. However, I don't know. You can make an argument that if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's there, they might be better at that position.
Be better
in the immediate moment. Long term, playing Makuba there might make you better, of course, down the road.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Vic, I asked Vic about Reed Blankenship because Reed's not playing well, at least to the outside world. And Vic made a big thing about defending him, that people don't understand his responsibilities, and he's got to prop up the rookie safety. It's kind of buried true a little bit. So I mean, yeah, I definitely think short term right now, in the immediate moment, they'd be better with CJ than Drew Makuba. But long term, yeah, I think it's easily Drew Makuba. So that's part of the difficulties in the NFL. You're playing for now, and you're playing for a year down the road, 2 years down the road. So But I think overall, most people don't have a problem with them moving to Drew Makuba. I get that sense.
I agree. I have not seen this. I don't think anybody's complained about it. It's generally the conversation on at least my show has been the second corner now, and you and I talked about this on Monday, which is the looming decision of how are they going to play Campbell and Dean, and then factor, how they, and he kind of talked about that yesterday. I don't know that he really cleared up anything or answered anything, but that decision there, do they have enough pass rush? Nolan Smith should be back, and then Jalix Hunt played his best game. Is he starting to get into form? Brandon Graham, how he fits in, and what does that all mean for Jahad Campbell? I think those have overshadowed any necessity for the safety position.
Well, let's talk about it, because I asked Vic the question about the playing time with Nakobe and Jihad after we got done our baseball talk, but I don't like it. I don't like it. And I love Nakobe Dean. I do. But I thought Jihad Campbell was playing tremendously. And all of a sudden, look, it was a different situation on Sunday against the Giants because they only had 3 edge rushers. So they needed an extra edge rusher. And Vic mentioned it was a difficult week for Jihad. What did he call it? He said it was choppy from a mental standpoint and learning a new position, learning new assignments that he hadn't been exposed to because of the lack of guys at that position. He's talking about nickel edge rusher. That played a part in him not playing as much. But overall, it's a good problem talking about having Nakobe and Jihad. Now,
we always say that, right? It's always a good problem to have too many good players, except for when you can't figure out how to use all the good players.
Now, moving forward, you're going to have Brandon Graham. Nolan Smith may be back, may not, but he should be back shortly after the bye. Azeez Ojulari should be back. All of a sudden, you don't need another nickel edge rusher then. So, why spend so much time? Yeah, it's rare where I don't buy sort of the explanation, but I and I have no problem with it. I already knew Vic loves Nakobe Dean. He wants him on the field.
And it's not that you're like watching Nakobe and you're saying, man, what are you doing? He's played well as well. So it's like you got these two guys who both are contributing, both playing well. One is not egregious over the other. Yet the other guy's a younger player who was playing well, and you're like, what did he do to get taken off the field other than Nakobe's the veteran player of the two? I mean, other than that, no one's playing better than the other. They both have made a pretty good impact.
Yeah, I agree. And he was playing tremendous football last year when he got hurt. So there's the theory you shouldn't lose your job due to injury.
Unless the other guy was playing so well.
That's
like
the
he
point.
was making a Michael Parsons rookie year impact where he's all over the place. And I think people kind of kept comparing him like, oh, he can play linebacker, he can play edge, he can run.
Well, that's where the comparisons derail because he can't play edge.
Not so far, no.
You talk about Micah. They didn't plan to use him there, and they got a bunch of injuries, and they threw him there, and it was just immediate. He's going to take some time if he ever gets to that point of being a legitimate edge rusher. But Wally Pipp exists, Mike. I mean, if somebody plays so well,
and
that's where I think Jihad was at alt ball linebacker. I can't put him on the bench, but it seems that's the way the Eagles are going to go. I don't like that.
And I said coming out of this bye week, that's probably the number one when usually when you go into a bye, you're going to self-scout and evaluate any lineup decisions. I mean, there's really no lineup decisions to make anywhere. Like maybe the second corner spot, I don't think that's been firmly established yet. I think he did mention Jacorian Bennett yesterday, wanting to see a little bit more of him. But other than that, I don't think there's a spot where they're evaluating whether or not they have to replace somebody. The big thing will be evaluating how we utilize Nakobe Dean, Jahad Campbell, and maximize them. Now, Vic has played some old school 3-4 in his past, and he can play 2 overhangs and a nose, and maybe Campbell gets involved in some capacity there. I don't know, but I just see it's going to be hard to get him.
Well, and here's the problem. What he's been doing now, at least early, Nakobe on base, Jahad and nickel. Now that changed against the Giants because they had no edge rushers, so he put him on the edge. Obviously, you can't play the edge and nickel linebacker at the same time. So, but now you have all the edges coming back. So in theory, he's not going to play edge, so he can go back to nickel linebacker.
That's where he got 20 snaps last week. Where were most of those snaps coming from?
It was about half and half.
So you take half of them out because Nolan's back. Brandon needs snaps. I don't know if Aziz, he was inactive for 4 or 5 games, but he's played okay since he's out, came back, and then he got hurt. Jalix obviously is going to play. So, Uche played. And Uche played more snaps than Campbell played last week. So they obviously like him better as an edge than they do
Campbell. He's a better edge. I mean,
there you go.
Uche's been playing well. That's one of the Temu signings that has worked.
Yeah, no doubt. Guys, we might be playing the Bears. They might have the safety group of Kevin Byard and CJ.
Somebody must have gotten hurt if they signed CJ. I don't know who got hurt.
I don't know what happened. I haven't followed up or seen what's going on in the Bears. I'll look it up.
Yeah, it might have been Byard. I think I saw something about him getting, but I'm not positive. But definitely, they're not bringing him in if somebody didn't get hurt.
Now they're Dennis Allen is the coordinator there, correct? The Saints coach.
Yes.
So
yep. I think
Chauncey
he
played for him.
Yep, exactly, in New Orleans.
Right.
In New Orleans, is it Kyler Gordon? Does that make sense? No, what position?
Well, he's a nickel. He's a nickel corner. CJ could do that in theory, but
yeah, I don't know. I got to go and look. Mike, what do you think of the offense, man? They explode. It's like boo. This team is so funny, Mike, in that when when it's bad, the run game gets 60 yards a game, and you're like, what the heck is going on? They're like the 30th run offense in football, and then they don't just respond and answer. They do it to the tune of 270 yards on the ground. I know it was versus the New York Giants, but just through at the bye, Mike, 6-2. Your thoughts on kind of the evolution of the offense this year?
Well, it's no coincidence that the offensive line played their best game, and I have been on this program for the last couple of years saying that the star of this team is the offensive line. And so far this year, it has not been the star of this team until last week. They were the star of the team last week, and therefore you saw the running game have not one, but 2 100-yard rushers. And the pass game had a much more fluid look to it because the threat of the run was actually there. So you had good crossers, guys catching balls in space, having room to run. Very good play design as well. You saw, especially in the red zone, the Goddard touchdown was a beautiful play design, and it all came off of the fact that they were able to run the ball. Brett Toth,
what a game by Brett Toth, man! What a game!
Talked about how terrible he had been. Well, he answered a lot of the critics and played very well. But the offensive line as a whole, I mean, and it was right from the beginning. They get that 65-yard touchdown run, and it was almost like they built some confidence off of that. Like, all right, here we go. Now we got it going again. And keep this in mind. We haven't seen a lot of this. All 5 guys played the whole game together, and they've also added Fred Johnson in there to give him a 6th offensive lineman, and they are utilizing him in both the run and the pass game. So it is certainly the offensive line playing their best game, coinciding with the offense's best game. Coincidence? I think not.
Well, it's not a big deal, but I think they ran it 12 times against the Giants, 12 or 13. That big package, that big heavy package with Brett Johnson. But I mean, they'd like to play a lot of 12 and 13. And early in the season, they're asking Grant Calcaterra and Kylan Granson to block in those heavy tight end packages. And now you replace Kylan Granson basically with Fred Johnson. That's a big difference, man. And I think it was 12. Yeah, the number was 12 for 129 when Fred was on the field. 12 rushes for 129 yards. That has been a nice adjustment. People talk about coaching and this and that. Coaching's about adjustments, not halftime adjustments. From play one to play, 60, making those adjustments from play to play.
Well, and what that brings into the fate to the fold is you have an extra offensive lineman, so you think you can run the ball more effectively. Teams are now, it takes somebody off the field in that realm, but you don't have as much in coverage, and you have two talented enough wide receivers that they should be able to get open with less coverage back there. So it really makes everything a lot more, a lot less, crowded in the secondary for the passing game. And then because you have the extra blocker, you can handle extra guys in the box sometimes. So, they found a little something here. We'll see what adjustments teams make to them out of this bye week, because the schedule is very challenging coming out of this bye with Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, who obviously defense struggles a lot. If you can't put up points against that defense, we're going to be having a conversation, I'm sure. And then they play the Bears. So the month of November is certainly a stretch where they will be challenged in certain areas.
Mike, Jalen Hurts loves to respond in big ways, man, when the talk gets loud. He had 2 big weeks, obviously, in a row, and potentially has buried the narrative that he can or cannot or will not or does not like to go under center. Mike, how do you view it?
Well, it's funny because growing up, we only saw people under center. I would love to go to see the video of the first time that somebody was in shotgun and hear what the guy, look at this guy, the quarterback is not under
Yeah.
So to see a quarterback not.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was Staubach with the Cowboys. Yeah, they were the only ones who did it for years.
And so as a kid, you'd walk around your house and almost go up to every chair in your house and act like you were under center, taking snaps. And it's weird to think these quarterbacks now, none of them go under center. So I guess it takes a little getting used to if you are not very used to it. But what it kind of has done for him is opened up a whole nother layer of this offense, which you can now use play action. Running play action out of the shotgun, especially where he is not a part of the run game as much anymore. It used to be deadly in 2022 because you had to account for the running back and him. Teams are no longer accounting for him in the run game, really. So they can kind of sell out one guy at least there. But now if you're under center, the run game holding, it used to be you went under center, you play action, and that held everybody for that split second. Not just one guy, everybody had a hold. So I think he's kind of getting used to the fact that, hey, there is some more openings in the pass game now because that split extra second. And in the NFL, that split second is an eternity to hold a defensive player. And it's all sometimes it takes to open up this much, a sliver of a window and then an actual door-sized window to throw a pass into.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you bring up the evolution of the game and, Jerry Glanville was the, king of the run and shoot with Warren Moon, and they thought he was insane, leaving tickets for Elvis every game. And all they do is put out 4 and 5 wide receivers, and they were the only team to do that. And people kind of chuckled at them, and the entire game has gone that way over the ensuing years. Chip Kelly, think about when Chip got here, man. Now everybody does. If Chip was a lunatic, now everybody does what he did.
Well, I think, the league so quickly tried to adapt to these college offenses. You used to hear, Saturdays are now infiltrating into Sundays in the offense.
Well, they are.
Right. And so many teams went in that direction. Well, it was a matter of time before the defenses started to then adjust to that at the NFL level. And I think you kind of saw a lot of the defenses start to say, okay, we're figuring out these RPOs a little bit more, these spreads. We've now got, and now what you see is a lot of teams, the linebackers got a lot smaller. They were no longer, Mike Singletary and Jeremiah Trotter size guys that were like 240. And like you have these players where they're like in-betweeners and you don't know what, like Brian Dawkins in today's game is probably a linebacker, right? I mean, he's probably not even a safety anymore because these linebackers have gotten so small. Well, now teams you're starting to say, your linebackers are so small. Now we can get a little bit more power and run at you because your linebackers aren't big enough. So now you have the chess match flipping a little bit back to you saw running backs make money last year in free agency because teams are like, hey, you got these small linebackers. Let's run Derrick Henry at them. Let's run Josh Jacobs at them. Let's run Saquon Barkley at them because they're going to have trouble trying to get off blockers. So, the evolution keeps kind of swinging around every so often.
Yeah, I love it from a defensive perspective. I love defense. I like defensive coaches more than I like offensive coaches, full disclosure, because I think they're hamstrung by every rule change, by everything. This league wants offense. They really, really hamstring the defense. And sure enough, these guys figure something out and they end up being better at the end of the day. And it's the offense that has to shift back to doing something else. Now, maybe it's just the nature of, as I said, human chess, but I'm amazed that these guys come up with ways. Mike, you remember the Wildcat. Remember, nobody could handle the Wildcat. Nobody could handle the Wildcat.
Yeah, that was the Dolphins with Ronnie Brown that were doing that. And that didn't last long, though. That
one didn't last long. Then I still remember the playoff game. I still remember vividly Colin Kaepernick going berserk and Clay Matthews, his head was like a top. He didn't know what to do. Was he keeping it? And it's like, oh my God, are they ever going to stop?
That was Jalen 2022, man. I used to talk about all the time. If he had, 2,000 decisions to make that year, he made the right choice on 1,990 of them. Like he was just flawless on when to give the ball to Miles Sanders, when to keep it himself. Like it was unbelievable how good he was. And that has never really returned to the offense. Like you've never seen him execute at that level of the RPO part of the run game.
Well, they've gotten better at it. And most of it is, to be blunt,
not that good. Not the year 2022 good.
No, I mean, now they've gotten better. Well, also because I've had this discussion with a lot of Eagles coaches, the league, like if you watch a college game, if you're a big college football fan, they're very liberal with offensive linemen downfield. They just leak out 2-3 yards and you get these big running plays and they don't care. Nobody cares. In the NFL, when the RPO started to take off, the coaches would point out, rightfully so, hey, so-and-so's downfield 2 yards. And all of a sudden they're calling it like they're supposed to be calling it. You're only allowed to go 1 yard down the field. And all of a sudden you're getting all these flags for a legal man downfield. You remember that spike. And at some point you say to yourself, well, this is becoming, an issue, and they toned it back a little bit. So that's a big part of it as well. They just officiate it much more stringently.
Yeah.
And if you run a lot of RPOs, it's baked in. You're going to get a lot of legal man downfield penalties because it's a timing play. And if anything's off timing, and our offensive lineman has no idea,
right?
The quarterback is still holding the football, and they're downfield, it's a penalty, and it's setting you back behind the stick. So that's a big reason they've scaled back on it. They still use it, but and for the Eagles also, it's not RPO, it's RPR. It's run pass run because of Jalen's ability. So sometimes he holds it again, and that's where you get into trouble. The timing's off, and all of a sudden you got a penalty.
Yeah.
So that's
one thing I'm interested in moving forward here. You actually saw a little taste of a screen game in the game the other day. Saquon slipping out, catching a touchdown pass, but he's not the best receiver. Bigsby's not a great receiver either. But do they add the layer to the passing game and see a little bit more of, hey, you know what? Let's slip these guys out. Will Shipley is a guy who can really make some damage in that role. You know, that was something that was a pleasant surprise to see. They used to be the king of the during the Andy era.
I would love to see Will Shipley in an Andy Reid offense. I think he could catch 60 balls and screen people all day. But yeah, that would have to be a different style offense. And they seem to, I think Tank is getting that job moving forward. And as you mentioned, those guys are not receiving backs to that level. So that's part of it. I could see the tight end screen being a bigger part of what the Eagles do.
And you have AJ Dillon, who I would imagine is kind of the odd man out in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3 guys coming back soon: Jacorian Bennett, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, and they need 3 roster spots. Now they created 1. They moved Perry Nickerson back to the practice squad, so they have 1, but they need 2 more. And it's got to be AJ Dillon. It's got to be one.
I would think, but he's a guy. My point with him is he's a guy who can catch the ball. He's a good receiver out of the backfield and a bigger guy who can, run. Is a physical runner as well. But they just have no. It's a shame because he probably would be an asset, but they just have no room for him to use. But I think he could catch the ball out of the backfield. I really like the way they slip Barkley out there because you just don't account for him because they never throw him the ball. If that's something that you do 1 or 2 times a game, you can use him as a little bit of a hey, I'm sliding and slipping out. That brings a linebacker a little bit that way and opens up some Goddard over the middle, possibly some more Dotson over the middle. If you just use him as a little sneaky clear out back there, it would open up the middle of that field a little bit more. And if you're doing it under center, even more. How about that?
Yeah.
Mike, all right, I'm going to ask you to go off the top of your head here. Use that big Mike Gill brain. All right.
First round pick brain.
Yeah. I want you to rank these 5 teams in the NFC right now through 8 weeks. Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, LA Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks.
All right. I got I think I'm going Philadelphia, Detroit, Green Bay, Rams, Buccaneers. I've been Lions over Bucks.
I'm definitely going Buccaneers fifth in that scenario. Definitely.
I like the Bucks, but I do think the Rams have.
I think playing so good right now.
Well, the Rams, and listen, the Bucks also have, if they're healthy, they have 3 very good receivers, but you don't know what's going to go with Evans. Godwin hasn't been healthy for a while. So you've got to like the receiving core with the Rams a little bit better. They both have pretty solid running games. I think the Rams defense is probably a little bit better, although it's a good matchup for Philly against the Rams defense. They're a smaller defense. With Vita Vea in Tampa, he's a little bit bigger to kind of blow up the run game there. Yeah. I've liked Detroit better than the Packers. I think the Packers offense is a step below. The Parsons trade has everybody drooling over them, but their offense is still – Love is very inconsistent at times. They don't have that receiver that really scares you. They do have a pretty good run game, but I like Detroit's offensive weaponry. They've been together, that group with Gibbs and Montgomery, the backfield, and then obviously Amon-Ra and Jameson is a game breaker. They got a good tight end there, so I think they're and their offensive line is, when they lost the center Ragnow, many people thought their offensive line would become a problem. Their offense had 1 week, and we're like, oh, see, they lost their coordinator. They have rebounded from that situation, fine. So I like Detroit. If they can stay healthy, their problem last year was the injuries. It crippled that team. So I like them a little bit better than I like Green Bay.
And are the Eagles number 1 because of you're using, the built-up pedigree that they have from last year, or you think they're the best team so far in the NFC through 8 weeks?
I think that this is, they have holes, they have questions. Someone's ringing my doorbell and knocking on my door, but they're going to have to wait.
You got to go for it.
Or keep him Mike at Mike Gill Show on YouTube. But yeah, go ahead, answer that really quick.
No, I think Philly's got the most complete team when they're healthy and full, and they're right now not. I mean, you still have the center situation. I know that Toth played pretty well last week. So that showed you what a healthy offensive line will do for them. Defensively, this Dean Campbell thing, it's not a decision that will like cripple the team, but they certainly have that one thing kind of going there. Whoa, what are you doing?
Somebody's coming. Somebody's coming to get
Yeah,
you.
right. Exactly.
Mike, go handle that.
So, you know, they're and obviously this is a team that is deep. They've got a lot of talent all over the place. I don't think we've seen them play their best games. Not that anybody really has, but they haven't played their best through 8 games. I think their best is still to come after the bye. Some of these teams have played really well and impressive. There's not a game where you look at Philadelphia outside of the Giant game last week, and the Giants stink, where you're like, see, that's the team that I thought. We thought the same thing last year. They hit their stride later on in the year.
Yeah. By the way, I think you should add Seattle to that list. Make it 6.
All right, I can do that. Maybe 6 for me, but all right, good stuff. Mike, go handle whoever's beating on your door. Tell them to take a deep breath out there. That was a hard knock.
Yeah, that was aggressive, man.
I don't know what was.
That was aggressive. I was watching the Billy Mob show on Netflix. I hope that's not the feds coming to.
Yeah, right. No doubt. All right, Mike. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you for doing it today.
Thanks,
make sure
bud.
you guys follow that.
See you.
See you, man.